Hi, this is Laura Holyoke, and this is the third recording I have for you on the trifocal HR frame. And this one is the medical, clinical, or organismic frame, if you will. This really looks at organizations and treats it as if organizations were individuals, were people. We tend to have the same characteristics. So this part of the lens looks at an organization as if it were a person or a patient, because organizations do get sick. And the development stages also of an organization are part of this lens, and that's an organizational life cycle theory. That's what we're going to talk about to begin with. So this is just a visual looking at a hypothetical organizational life cycle. And this is what happens when organizations start up. The foundation is built on visions and values. And after a year or two, norms start to emerge. And if the organization lasts that long, because organizations tend to have a, if you will, a high infant mortality rate, that most of them fail before 5 years. So as organizations grow and get along with their life, the boom years happen in kind of the tween years from 8 to 13. So they become a highly cohesive workforce during this time. Lean and mean is often described as organizations highly successful in that the values align with the actions that are carried out in the workplace. Stability happens when late teens, I'm not for sure exactly about the years, but actually Greiner, Greiner, writes about the different phases of an organizational life cycle. Complacency hits once the organization has matured, and then the organization becomes starts to decline, and chaos usually happens, and values and actions are out of alignment. This is oftentimes when the founding people are no longer around, that we lose guidance, maybe, that the organization is so old, those processes or whatever they are have just been lost over time. So as the organization continues to decline, there's several things that can happen. It can revamp or really or bust. So it could just go into decline and extinction. It could carry out of their existence, or it can reinnovate itself and go back with sustained growth. Here is another, this is Larry Greiner in here. This is another way of looking at organizational life cycles. And also on the left side, you can see the size also matters from small to large. So there's an entrepreneurial stage or startup stage where creativity is high. And so these people, Cameron and Quinn, Greiner, talk about that there's crises that happen at between each one of these stages. That the first crisis that happens is that leadership is needed, and then there's a clear direction. And once that has been established, then there's another crisis, that delegation with control needs to happen. And so you can see how that gets carried out through an organization based on these theorists. Here's another way to look at organizational life cycle theory, and this is from Richard Daft, D-A-F-T. He writes organization development texts, but points out here the different stages: birth, youth, midlife, and maturity of organizations based on their size. So if you have a medium organization during its youth, that oftentimes 2 leaders rule it in terms of centralization. And you can see as the organization gets larger, could be 2 department heads. And during maturity, then it's often top management heavy. So this is just another source for you to check out as you're looking at organizations and where they are in life cycles and how large they are or small. Here's another concept that we're revisiting again, organizational margin. Do you remember the human equation margin by Swenson? So this is also based on Swenson's margin equation, but uses Alvin Toffler's idea of future shock. So here's what it looks like. That when organizations have a greater load, that is demand to have more products than it can handle. So the resources are its capacity to produce, and the load is the demand for the product. And when demand becomes greater than the capacity, organizations collapse under bankruptcy or voluntarily fundamentally change how they are carrying out their how they're carrying out their organization. So they either need to reduce their load, so saying that we can't take orders for this much, or they downsize the company, or they subcontract out part of their work. So Toppler said in Future Shock that certain things happen that increase the load in organizations. So the volume goes up. So the number of changes that we face in organizations start to climb. The momentum starts to get faster and faster. So there's less and less adjustment time in between changes. So we have to adapt much more quickly. And then finally, the complexity, the availability of solutions to the problems. The problems are becoming so much more complex that it's coming too fast in an organization. So again, this is what happens when organizations go into negative margin. Not a pretty thing. Just wanted to make a comment to go over the idea of organizational health. It's the presence of active and valued healing processes which continually repair and prevent serious organizational injury and disease. Same idea behind individuals and our health. We have to be active. We need to value healing processes. We need to heal something right the first time. We need to continually repair and prevent serious injury to our bodies. We need to eat right, take care of ourselves. Same with organizations. So I thought this was interesting here. Highly dysfunctional organizations are either controlling, rigid, and exclusive or fuzzy, should be confusing and boundary-free. Either extreme leads to organizational dysfunction and enslaves people in different ways. We'll talk about this a little bit more. So Albright came up with 17 syndromes of organizational dysfunction. So again, looking at organizations as if they were individuals. And although I had the list here, and I'll go through some of them when I do the PDF of this, I will put the notes in the PDF so you can read a little bit more about each one of these organizational dysfunctions. Organizations can have attention deficit disorder, that anything that's shiny comes along, it tends to focus on that. And when something else shiny comes along, it turns and focuses on something different. The idea that an organization can have anemia, so only the dead wood survives, that it's very anemic and it's not really enough to run it well. That it could be fat, dumb, and happy, and the attitude is, well, if it ain't broke, we're not going to fix it. Could be geriatric leadership, that people are retired on the job. Could be the loony CEO, that crazy makes crazy. You have a loony person at the top, then everybody else is crazy. Could be malorganization and have structural arthritis. There's one for your structural lens again. Monopoly mentality, that's our divine right to do what we want, and kind of egotistical. Could be a one-man band. That's what that Clint Eastwood rules here. The rat race. They keep moving the cheese around, that we have to keep following it wherever it is. So you can see, while some of these are a little bit humorous, perhaps you can see them being carried out in dysfunctions of an organization. So not only can they be organization-wide dysfunctions. They can also be group or team dysfunctions. Some indicators of organizational decline, and this is from LaRange and Nelson way back to the 1987s, but we can also probably see where these are still pretty good today. So when we have excess personnel, so people are being hired and we have too many people around and not enough work to keep everybody busy. When there becomes a tolerance of incompetence, that it just people or supervisors look the other way when incompetent employees come along, that there's cumbersome administrative procedures, that too many people have to sign something, that it goes through this double, triple, quadruple red tape of bureaucracy, that there may be a disproportionate staff power, that something's not quite aligned right. It could be a replacement of substance with form. There could be a scarcity of clear goals and decision benchmarks, maybe a fear of embarrassment and conflict in the organization. Could be loss of effective communication. That's what we used to talk about. We just, well, we wasted a lot of time doing that, so we talk less and less about stuff. Could be just an outdated organizational structure. So again, these are indicators that maybe chaos has taken over and organization is declining. Same last slide for all three of these. Thank you again so much. I know that the HR trifocal frame is quite a large frame, so I appreciate you listening.